Yes.
Okay.
What are you laughing? That's
Yeah,
us.
yes, that's us now.
Morning, folks. How you all doing? Hope you're faring well during these interesting times.
Okay.
I'm Karen from Grampian Business Finder and this little piggy, and I'm delighted to have Edward. What are you laughing at? Try to be serious.
Okay. That's us now.
I'm delighted to have Edward Obi of HR Hub Plus. Sorry, I was getting an echo there. As my guest this morning, aka Steady Eddie, aka Edward Obi-Wan Kenobi, aka Mr. Happy. As you can see, he's smiling away there. AKA Mr. Motivator. Edward, have I got all of them? Have I missed any?
You've said it all, Karen.
I haven't missed any. Okay, good. I like to get it right.
Okay.
So Edward's business is HR Hub Plus, where he helps his clients with what I think is quite a minefield of employment and HR, employment legislation, and all that lovely stuff. So we're going to be talking a bit about that. Edward has also won a number of awards. I'm not actually sure how many, but don't be surprised if you see him asking on Grampian Business Finder for someone to make him a new trophy cabinet. So good morning, Edward.
Good morning, Karen. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Good. So folks who are tuning in, thanks for tuning in. Before we start, do feel free to ask any questions that you might have for Edward in the comments. We will do our best if there are any questions. You never know with a live, but we'll do our best to answer them through the live. But if there's anything after, then to look at them then. Edward's also very kindly given us a £50 Amazon voucher, which someone will win during this. The way that's going to work is that at a random time, Edward will interrupt the chat with a secret phrase or a couple of words, and the first person to type that into the comments will be the winner of the £50 voucher. The comments I'm looking at is on this little piggies page, and it will be the first comment that I actually see. The reason I'm saying that is because the comments jump about like maniacs on lives for some reason on Facebook. So it will be the first I see. So good luck, folks who enter that. And yeah, now it's time to speak to Edward. That's why we're here. So Edward, tell us about HR Hub Plus.
Thank you very much, Karen. First of all, thanks for the great introduction. I'm truly honored to be on your live program. Thank you very much for that. HR Hub Plus. What we do basically is that we support small to medium-sized businesses who don't have an on-site HR support. So imagine an established business with a HR function. We all know small to medium-sized businesses may not be able to afford a full-time HR resource. So what we do, at a fraction of the cost, we act as an extension of the business, supporting and advising them where appropriate. So that's what HR Hub Plus does, providing award-winning service to local business owners, ensuring they're not leaving themselves exposed.
So are you like the HR department really, but outsourced?
Yes, but outsourced. So they just outsource it to us.
Okay. And what kind of things do you help with then, Edward? What kind of
Mhm.
situations and companies do you support?
Yeah. We support, depending on the client needs, it may be contracts of employment, putting policies and procedures in place, advising organizations on grievances, disciplinaries, and redundancies. So, any people issues, it may be conflict within the workplace or training local managers to make sure that they're available or they have the required soft skills to manage their employees as well. So it's a generalist theme, but the most important thing is to make sure the organization is protected and the employees value their support they're receiving from the employer as well.
Okay. So I imagine there's quite a lot of legalities come into it and keeping up to date with changes in legal requirements and all of that.
Yeah, definitely. Employment law evolves constantly. All
Mm.
it takes is for one employment tribunal judge to make a ruling, and that just changes everything. So having the right support, like organizations like us, HR Hub Plus, working alongside a local business owner is very, very critical, especially during these interesting and challenging times. So it's always good for employers to know that they're doing everything right, they're getting the right support, and they're concentrating on other aspects of the business that they can, knowing that HR Hub Plus is just there to support them on the employment law side.
So they are safe in the knowledge, would that be that you are keeping up to date with all this rafts of legislation and all of that, and they don't have to?
Definitely. Our key phrase is giving them peace of mind.
I was just
Leave it all to us and we'll take care of everything.
okay, great, great. That must be good to have that off their cases.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
I'm just looking at the comments, and there's Naz Hussein, our favourite local comedian, saying
Yes.
hello, hello, hi Naz. Um, so when you mentioned the situation in these difficult, challenging times, Edward, how's that affecting what you do? And well, I imagine like the things like the furlough and all the different sort of
Yeah.
employee things that are going on, but how's that affecting you and your clients?
Yeah. It's like every other local businesses, they're affected in some shape or form.
Yeah.
And obviously, when furlough came on the scene, it provided some sort of shock to the system because, local business owners weren't expecting it. As we all know, in 2020, we were all thinking about Brexit. And then the next thing that came up was the pandemic. Local businesses had to evolve with that. They had to make sure their staff were taken care of. They had to make sure that, employees were put on the furlough scheme. And there were a lot of issues with that because, with the right contracts of employment, you were given the right on the basis of consulting with your employees to put them onto the furlough scheme because that was to change their terms and conditions. And, some business owners didn't have contracts in place.
Oh,
So, it had to be a situation whereby, we had to advise them on the correct way to do things, to make sure, the staff are adequately taken care of, to make sure they fit the eligibility criteria to get onto the furlough scheme in the first place. Because the government, when they introduced the furlough scheme, they hinged it on two key things. The first one was employment legislation, and the second one was contractual obligations. So if organizations didn't have certain things in place, they struggled with that. So that's where we came in to support them and make sure that everything was done right so that there won't be any comeback. Um, as we all know, one of the key things was to be eligible, you had to be on the PAYE scheme. And some organizations were not on the PAYE scheme. They had employees, but they were paying them cash in hand. It wasn't going through the system. So you see that things like that, it really affected what the possibilities would have been for those employees. The good thing about that was that the government initially changed those who were supposed to be on the PAYE scheme from February to mid-March. So that gave a lot of organizations time to set up, put those processes in place, get put on the scheme so that the employees would then benefit from the furlough scheme. Because if not, a lot of employees would not have benefited from it, and that would have brought more problems to the organizations themselves.
Because they would have just not been able to get any support for them.
None at all.
So those companies that had to do everything were like having a double whammy, I suppose. They had to put everything that they should have had in place and then had to deal with furlough rules. And so did everyone have to update something?
Yeah, there was always an update from the variation to change of terms to consulting with the employees to make sure they agreed to those changes. Because if they didn't have the right contracts in place, you would have to consult them to get their agreement, because it was a change of status from their original designation to that of a furloughed status. So you had to follow employment legislation to do that.
Wow. So were you and they just really, really ridiculously busy dealing with all that without any like actually running the business then? I mean,
yeah,
sounds like a lot.
It was a lot. It was a lot. And one of the key things is, it was a situation whereby the community had to pull together to support one another, because that's why I created a group to support local businesses who had furlough questions or how to proceed. And it was on the basis of that group that we got nominated as a finalist in the New Day Awards that took place in May.
Another award. Well done. I wasn't aware of that group.
Yeah, it was a group that was just it was strictly for those who had employees, to just support them, because there were a lot of myths about furlough. Information wasn't coming through. Everyone had different interpretations. So we thought, you know what, it will take us time, but we're supporting the community. It was part of our corporate social responsibility. So created the group. A lot of businesses joined. Questions, support, and then making sure that they had the right focal point for information that they needed.
Okay, so how many people did you have on? Was it a Facebook group or was it on?
Yeah, it was it was a Facebook group. It was over 60 businesses.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So that must have been really good. There is a lot of misinformation goes about.
Yeah.
And it's good to know. It's not good to know that someone else is going through a situation if it's not a good one, but it is comforting to know that that there's other people in the same boat, I suppose.
I agree, and it was well received because when the nomination came through, it was on the basis of that group. So a couple of people in the group must have nominated us and found it useful. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well done. And is the group still going to help with other things that crop up on the whole?
Yes. The group is still active. They still ask questions from time to time, especially now that the furlough scheme is winding up next month. So everyone wants to see what the way forward is, what other support is available out there, and how they can adapt to any changes.
This is probably ridiculous question, but what do you think is going to happen after the furlough stops? Or do you think it'll stop, or do you think they'll do something else? Or
Well, the government, they've mentioned that it will stop, but like everything else, it may be a situation whereby they'll have a rethink and see how they can obviously support local businesses. It may be via another scheme. They may be looking at various other options. So we'll just wait and see.
okay, we're getting a question from Helene Williams. Hi, Helene. Do you think furlough will be extended, Edward? There's no way I
Well,
can answer that.
yeah, as at today, we don't know. But if it does end next month, the government may create another option that would support, another scheme that will support local businesses. Now, I'm using may because they may or may not, they have the prerogative to do that. But for example, there are other alternatives an organization can do. If the furlough scheme ends, they can reduce hours of their staff, they can reduce pay, or depending on the financial buoyancy of the organization, they can create their own furlough scheme, maybe at a reduced amount, but something to keep their staff on board. And, employees, it's all about communication. Employees know that things are difficult. So I'm sure they would have no other option than to accept whatever support an employee is giving them in good faith. And if that doesn't work, depending on the contracts of employment that the organization has with their employees, if there's a short-time working clause in it, then they'll be able to activate that clause to, the employees will still be on their payroll, but they won't actually be working. So the continuous service will be building up, but they would just be off work for a specific period of time, not longer than 6 weeks.
And still be paid?
No, they won't be paid, but they will have continuous service.
That
but
for
an
organization?
Yeah, so an organization can say if they have the it all depends on the contracts they have in place. So if they have that specific clause in it, employees can activate that clause so that employees can be off work for a maximum period of 6 weeks.
Okay, so that might tide over.
So it basically helps. Yeah, they're not terminating their employment, but they're still employed, but they're not actually getting the required what they would normally get as an employee in terms of remuneration.
I suppose it might give them some comfort that they still will hopefully have a job.
Yes.
It's difficult. It's difficult to call a lot of things, isn't it?
It is.
So,
it is.
Do you think the companies that have been, and we all have to be looking into the future as much as we can, but do you think they're considering things like their own furlough schemes and things just now or all the different options that they might have?
Yeah, some companies I think would be more proactive now that they know that an end date is in sight. It's all about taking a look at what happens post-October. Yeah. And, if they haven't thought about it, they need to start thinking about it now.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just thinking, I used to be in a job where we took a pay cut at one time because we all knew that it had to be done for the good of the long term. And we got the money back, but we all had to agree to do it for the sake of keeping going. So yes, yeah. I suppose that kind of mentality will be in companies, will it?
Exactly.
Where everyone's working together, like you said, in the communications, the communication's good.
Yeah. And that's one thing about employees. Once you communicate with them in good faith, they will always support. They will always support the situation because it's either supporting them with specific proposals, or looking at the stark reality of redundancy.
Yeah.
And no employee wants to be redundant, especially at this point in time.
No. So Edward, your job, your business will not only focus on the legalities and the black and white. Does it involve a lot of this more the softer side of it, I suppose, with the communication and that kind of thing?
Yes, definitely. We always advise our clients and those who come in contact with us that they should view redundancy as a final option. Then we sit down, we take a look at various options available to them, and then try and strike a balance as to the one that would suit them at that point in time. And obviously, it will have to have a time frame to it, because there's only so much an employer can do in terms of if income is not coming in and the expenditure is more. So there has to be some sort of, resolution in place to support the employer and the employee.
So is there a lot of the people skills from you to companies to make that good rapport and lines of communication as well? Because I suppose some companies have got better lines of communication than others.
Yeah, we always, depending on the organization, depending on the options that they've agreed to propose, then we work alongside them to make sure the communication is in clear terms to the employees. If there's any discussion that needs to be had, or if there's any consultation that needs to take place, we're also supporting that process as well to make sure that, organizations are sensitive, employees receive it well, and try and strike a balance between the realities of the time and what the other option would be.
Yeah. The balance, I suppose, is key.
Yes, it is.
Rules need to be kept to as well. So it must be interesting.
It is interesting, but it's why we're here to support organizations to make that transition seamless.
Yeah. So is this the business that you were meant to do? What made you? Did you always want to be in business, Edward? What led you to this?
Yeah, I've worked in the HR sector prior to setting up my business for 14 years. So I've always wanted a situation whereby I can give more to the community. And that's where the entrepreneurial spirit kicked in. Because as we all know, working for an organization, it's the staff, the internal clients, other clients that you focus on, and the business. So you're within a particular structure. So as time went,
and someone else, yeah,
exactly. So as time went on, I decided to look beyond that and see myself within a local business community supporting their businesses from a particular vantage point. And that's where HR Hub Plus came into being. And I said, okay, this would be a good opportunity. And, I grabbed it with both arms. The local business community, they received me with open arms as well. And you've been a great supporter as well. So thank you very much for that.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Yeah. So, I've loved it because the dynamics is different with different organizations. And, utilizing your skill set to support different organizations is key.
So what's the best thing about running HR Hub Plus then?
Oh, just putting a smile on local business owners' faces, because, they come to you with this big problem and they're panicking about it. And then you, in a calm way, tell them, okay, you've come to the right place, and then resolve it. And then you see the sigh of relief on their faces, like, oh my God, thank you so much. So, because we all know, if you get it wrong, you're looking at an employment tribunal situation,
Oh,
and nobody wants to be in that scenario.
no, that could be quite a scary scenario, I would imagine.
Yeah, it would be because, even larger companies get it wrong. And if larger companies who have the right resources get it wrong, what about small to medium-sized companies who don't have the HR resource at their beck and call?
Yeah, and it's quite large sums that they get hammered for. If they're in the wrong, I mean, this is just things that I've heard, but it's not something to be taken lightly, is it?
No, it's in thousands. Some
Yeah.
cases, depending on what it is, if it's a discrimination claim, it's uncapped. So it all depends on the mindset of the employment tribunal judge.
Does it? Can it be? Can it be that though? The judge on the day that can.
Yeah. If a judge wants to make an example, they've got the remit to do so. Obviously within certain financial parameters. But when it comes to discrimination claim, it's an uncapped claim. So if an employment tribunal judge wants to give you an award of £1 million, they're within their remit to do so. So that's why it's always good to make sure that you get everything right. It's just like an insurance policy, making sure you're protected. So even if it does go further, you have a strong chance of succeeding in any employment tribunal claim. Because
everything's been done correctly.
Correctly, yes.
I think because we're in a claims culture as well, that would make it scary.
Yes.
I mean, it does, like I said at the start, it does seem to be quite the minefield that we don't want to do without getting the right sort of support.
That is true.
So much to it. So yeah, so you mentioned putting a smile on their faces, and it must be a relief when they think, well, certainly if they think they're going to get sued for $1 million, and then you come and say, well, it's not that bad, or you better do this and that and the next thing. But I've, and probably others have noticed as well, that how certainly if they know you from social media, your motivationalness, your motivational memes and words, good morning, happy Sunday, and all of that. So what is it, Edward, that makes you want to motivate other people?
Because I think when it comes to motivation, it's the mindset. We're living in a situation in a situation right now where people don't get the relevant support that they need. Somebody may just be down, they don't have family, they don't have someone in the workplace to talk to, and they're all alone. So, sending a motivational quote that may resonate to that particular individual, because you don't know what everybody's feeling. So sending those little golden bolts to individuals, works a lot. Everybody's been in a situation where they've received some sort of support. I know I've been in a situation and I've got support from friends. So, knowing that there are others out there who don't have that support structure, then I'm just saying hello in my own little way, saying everything's going to be all right.
Oh, that's nice. So you want to give them encouragement and
yes, as much as I can.
Yeah, that's good. That's good that you want to put out good vibes into the world. that's certainly needed now.
Exactly.
If not any other time, maybe even more so now, I suppose. There's lovely Emma. She's Emma Arms, who did the last interview, looking in just to see how you're doing, Edward, because you've got a hard act to follow. No, she's not saying that at all. Hi, Emma. She's saying
hello,
hi.
Emma.
She loves your positivity. Yeah, I mean that's exactly where I was coming from there, because you do want to give others positive vibes. And there's my chum Jane, who gave me some positive vibes yesterday, saying great advice, steady Eddie.
Oh,
Thank you,
you.
Jane. Thank you for everything. So yeah, and hello Sandra as well. Sandra's joined us too. Hi Sandra. What would you say would have been your most challenging time in business, Edward?
I think when I started, because I started with zero clientele, I started from scratch, rock bottom, and obviously, I've never been a business person, but I've been a people's person, so I knew how to relate with the local community. So I knew for the first 3 months, I basically, had nothing, and I was like doubting myself. Was this a good decision? But focusing on what you love and your passion always drives you to achieve. It's all about being resilient and patient. So the first 3 months were the most interesting and challenging for me. And then things started, gradually to whip itself into shape. And here we are.
Here we are now. And was there any point during that first 3 months that you thought, I'm not gonna do it? Or did you always do what you say to other people to do about the motivational, and was there any times where you wondered whether it would work?
Yeah, those thoughts did creep in. I'm not going to lie. It did creep in. But at the end of the day, I knew there was something bigger at the end of the tunnel. And, obviously, I've got 3 lovely children, and they're my why anyway.
Okay.
So the fact that, I would want to tell them this story in later years, that, when things were not going as should be expected, the moment I looked on their faces, especially my little mischievous daughter Bella, then I would feel like, you know what, I'm still gonna climb the mountains and succeed at the end.
So they've kept you going. Is that they've been your motivation? Yeah.
Yes.
And I suppose it'll be good to instill to them that they should keep going as well.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, there's in business, there's always going to be challenging times anyway.
Yes, yeah.
If it was easy, everybody would do it, eh?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose there's times in everybody that runs a business when they think, no.
Yeah. They'll be like, I'm gonna pack it in, that's it, done. But then you realize that it's just one of those things that even spur you on to greater heights, one of those thoughts that can spur you to greater heights.
That's a good point, because sometimes you can look back and think, if you got through that situation, then you can get through other situations. So they all kind of help you on your journey as well, don't they, a bit?
Yes. Yeah, it does.
So what's been your most valuable lesson, Edward, in business?
My most valuable lesson is always focus on the bigger picture. When I started my business, and I spoke to almost all of my friends, then they said, look, Edward, now's not a good time to do it. Just, take a step back. But all I needed was just one person that would say, Edward, just do it. So one of the most valuable lessons I've learned, especially in my business journey, is listen to opinion, but always make the final decision yourself, because that decision is what will either make or mar your dream.
And you'll get different opinions, I suppose, based on where other people are coming from.
Yeah, yeah. But
as well.
ultimately, the decision is yours to make.
Yeah, true, true. Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye to see what questions there are. There's my dad saying, always be kind, Edward. That must be coming across as well. So this might be a difficult question for you to answer, but given all the awards that you have, and it might not be anything to do with awards, but what's your proudest business moment?
Okay. My proudest business moment. I think the first one would be when I got my first client on board.
Okay.
That was a good moment for me, and that changed everything. Because the moment I got that first client on board, everything then started.
That's snowball.
Yeah, everything then started to snowball. The client was happy, then word of mouth, and then everything was just coming into play. In terms of recognition, awards, I think the Aberdeen Business Awards last year, that came as a shock. Best professional service provider. That's one of the frames up there. That's because we were against a lot of other companies, and considering we're a young company, small company, walking up that stage was another moment. Getting that award, I was like, wow, what else?
So that was last year's Aberdeen Business Awards.
Yes, last year.
Good, good. So I'm sure there's more to come on the awards front, Edward.
I'm just following your lead, Karen.
No, well, I've no, I can only aspire. I've not got a huge track record in awards myself. I actually prefer helping my clients to enter awards. That gives me more of a buzz. So yeah, but that's good. It's great achievements that you've had. So what would you say is the most important trait for a business person to have?
Determination.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to be determined to succeed, because you don't just wake up one morning and say, I'm going into business, because a lot of people have gone into business and failed. So the question you need to ask yourself is, are you in it for the long haul or the short term? And depending on your response, then that then propels you to the next line of action. The important trait for me is that I've always been determined to succeed in everything I do. And determination. And I take a look at, the successful business owners out there as well. And, I learn from them as well, because, you read all the success stories of how X was bankrupt, and then overnight they had a passion, dream, focus, and then achieved more than they achieved prior to when they became bankrupt. So it's all about, focusing on the big picture.
So you mean a situation that would be seen as a failure is not a failure because it teaches us.
Exactly.
For going forward.
It teaches us quite a lot.
So where have you always had a determination then, Edward?
Yeah, and everything.
For everything that you do, have you always been like that?
Yeah, I've always been that sort of individual. I don't go into things half-heartedly. I go into it and give it 100%. And then knowing that I'm giving it my all, makes the difference. Whatever the outcome is at the end, I know that I've given it my best shot.
Good, good. And is that a trait that you've just always had then?
Yeah, I think I got that from my mom. So
Oh, right, okay. So did
yeah, I got that from my mom. She was really one determined lady, and both parents, they imbibed that into us, and we've cherished it quite a
that
lot.
must be so good that so did she always do that when you were small? And
Yeah, because my mom a lecturer, and my dad was a solicitor. They're both retired now. So, they've always, showcased that to us, that in life you have to always and focus on what you believe in. And that's where the determination comes in.
yeah, yeah, that's good. That must be good to have that mentality, to have
Yeah.
always had that mentality.
Mhm.
Um, so what advice would you give to someone wanting to start a business now?
I always, if someone wants to start a business now, I would say go for it. Because, even though the climate we currently are, depending on your service offering, you may find a niche in it.
Mhm.
We've seen situations, especially the Great Recession. The Great Recession was not for everyone. A lot of people made a successful business out of a recession. So, it's all about if you dream it, do it.
Just go for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of support now. You've got support from the likes of the business community, there's the support for mentoring, elevators there, they're local, they provide support too.
Yeah,
Friends and family, you can get support from anywhere. But
yeah,
if you believe in something, do it.
I agree. So, out of adversity, there comes opportunities.
Yes, definitely.
So, would you
Definitely.
suggest that any business that's maybe having tough times would be able to find a way, be able to find opportunities in this situation?
Yeah, there will always be opportunities. You may be running a business. Never ever pigeonhole yourself in a particular service offering. If you've got a particular skill set that you can commercialize, adapt and utilize that. It's all about having a resilience plan, how
Yeah,
to stay relevant and how
yeah.
to move forward.
There is always a way, isn't there? And there's
Yeah,
a
there
lot
is.
more people saying how much they love your positive attitude,
Oh,
loving
thank
the
you.
positivity. Katrina, thank you, thank you. My dad is actually asking a question about people in business. What would you say to them if they're not hitting it hitting it off, not getting on just now because of these troubling times? What would you say to them? Would you mediate to them, or
Yeah, yeah. What I would say is that they should take time to reflect. We're in a situation whereby these are interesting times, like I said earlier. So if you're running a business now, pause and reflect, take some time out, take a look at your operations, take a look at your business plan, review it. And if there's anything that strikes out that you need to focus on at this particular time, then focus on it while promoting everything else.
so is that taking that step back?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Take a step back. Don't shut everything down. Just take a step back, whether it's a week or two. Like I get the best ideas when I'm going on a walk,
yeah,
or sitting by the stream or sitting by the beach, watching the waves coming and out. You
yeah.
just, you know, meditate and see what you can do to evolve within the current situation, because it's not all doom and gloom. There's light that will be at the end of the tunnel.
For sure. there are opportunities there. And I think people find it hard to see the wood from the trees, though, sometimes. And do you find it useful to speak to someone else out with your business at times like that? Do they?
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
that I do sometimes when I can't seem to figure my way out of something, and then I'll speak to someone like Jane, who was on, just to give you that different perspective.
yeah, definitely, definitely. That's where your support group comes in. Because the whole idea, especially during this pandemic, is brought the community closer. So, you speak, if you have any concerns, speak to people about it. You'll get different opinions. You just take them all in and then just evaluate on them. And then say, okay, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. And then just make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you said, make your own decision.
Yes,
After
definitely.
having the perspectives. Jane's also asking, Edward, do you think, now this is a controversial,
Okay.
do you think companies should be understanding if someone's not comfortable to return to the office in this climate? Good question.
Yeah, great question. Great question. Great question. I think one of the key things when I have discussions with clients, I always ask three key points, three key questions. Is it essential that they come to work at this point in time? Is the workplace safe enough for you to accommodate staff? And thirdly, has it been agreed by mutual consent? Now, as we all know, the pandemic is more psychological now. And that's where communication comes in. Even the government said, they said in their public guidance that employers, before they even think about employees come back to work, they need to take a look at two critical things. Do they have a COVID secure, not COVID free, COVID secure environment? And do they have a COVID-19 specific risk assessment? Now, if they don't have either of those or they're not comfortable, then the question is, it's not safe for employees to come back to work. Now, but if they have put all the relevant things in place and it is safe, then it's all about having a conversation with the employee to try and understand the reasons, because each employee has individual circumstances that you need to take into consideration. And based on those circumstances, then you can then make a decision moving forward. But it's all about alleviating those fears and concerns and addressing them before you then bring an employee back to work.
So would that be like trying to give the employee, excuse me, the peace of mind that all the measures have been put into place?
Exactly.
What if some employees are scared and others not? Would you advise that they let them, if they can, providing they can do their work at home?
Yeah.
Would they be able to have a choice then, perhaps?
Yeah, I think I've always advised if an employee can do their work from home, then put the specific processes in place and support in place for them to do so. But there are organizations whereby employees can't work at home.
Yeah.
So if they can't work at home, they need to make a judgment call, like I said, depending on the individual circumstances, and then reach a consensual decision on how they can adapt to the new normal more than anything else. Because it's all about adapting more than anything.
Yeah. And it must be quite this balance that you spoke of, because maybe that was the wrong word I chose to say, this controversial question, but for you need to be looking after the companies who have to make these decisions, and also the staff, and the companies looking after the staff too, and they don't want to be seen to be forcing them to go back to work if they're not comfortable.
Yeah.
But then if they need them there, then they have to be there to keep. It's hard.
It is. You have to strike a balance.
Yeah, I'm glad I do marketing. Really, I am. Sandra is asking, do you think NHS admin staff should work from home, especially BAME staff? Another good question. Another,
Yeah.
Girls.
Yeah, that's a good question. My advice to that, my response to that would be, if employees can work from home, they should. If you have a safe environment for them to work in the workplace, then put specific things in place, like you can stagger the rota. You know, depending on the office space or size, you won't have more than 1 or 2 people on, and you have a specific pattern, a rotationary pattern, so that, you know, staff don't come into contact and it mitigates any potential spread. So in terms of, you know, the other question about BAME, I think the most important thing is the COVID secure environment that they work in. If it is secure, then that will give staff the confidence to work in that environment. But if it isn't, then that's a wake-up call for the organization to do what they are required to do to make sure that the concerns are addressed and the workplace is secure.
And does the COVID secure thing, does that pay more attention to BAME staff, or?
No, I think in terms with BAME staff, because, you know, there's a lot of, you know, information going around that those of BAME origin are likely to be more affected by the COVID spread. So that's where the risk assessment comes in. And, you know, each individual circumstances is adequately addressed within that risk assessment. So if, for example, there is an opportunity to work from home and that mitigates the spread and alleviates the concerns, then they can. But if it's a situation whereby unfortunately they have to work in the office, then specific measures need to be in place to safeguard and address the concerns.
Okay. So many different, everyone's affected, like you said, and so many different situations that are happening to take to look at. So some great questions there. So I'm wondering who might be watching this that you might be able to help just now. Any particular type of business?
I think when it comes to businesses, all businesses, the most important thing is that you will know if you're doing the right thing anyway. As a local business, you will know if you've got the required safeguards in place to protect your staff or operation from an employer obligation point of view. Now, if you know for some reason you're concerned about your processes and you have that niggling doubt that you're not doing the right thing, get in touch. We'll just work through it just to make sure that it's protecting your business, protecting your staff, creating the right environment for your business and employees to thrive in.
And they can contact you confidentially?
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
They can.
Okay. And I suppose the flip side of that is anyone watching, is there anything you would like anyone or myself to do to help you right now in your business, Edward?
Yeah, thank you very much for that. You know, my Facebook page, you can like it, you can share it, promote that there is an organization like us that can support organizations, because we're a small business. We know what small businesses face. We have that personal service and we can navigate you through any issues that you have. On top of it all, we can give you the required peace of mind to focus on other aspects of your business, leaving the HR stuff or people issues to us.
So spread the word about the peace of mind.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. And can I also ask about this group of 30 that, what's it, the Kickstarter?
Yeah, the Kickstarter group. The good thing about that is that there's been a list that has come out today for the representatives in the whole of the UK, and especially those in Scotland. And just for those who may not be aware of it, the government has introduced a scheme in which they will support local businesses taking on individuals who are on universal credit for a period of 6 months. The government will pay their salary. All you need to do is to provide a working environment for them to work in. A 6 months a scheme. So after 6 months, you can get somebody else in, but 6 months, the government supports you through taking those on.
So is this in addition to because I thought it was the Kickstart was for the 18 to 24-year-olds to take them on.
Yeah, for those who are on universal credits.
Oh, so it's the same, is it the same age group? Is it anyone over on universal credit now as well, any age?
Well, the government is focusing on the young workforce for now.
Right.
That's where the Kickstart is. Okay. And, there'll be a collaboration between the local business community and the Department of Works and Pensions. And the whole idea is that, each individual, once successful, will work for a minimum of 25 hours a week on the national minimum wage with a local business for a period of 6 months. And what the government is saying is that they will support that transition and the payroll for that particular employee for that period in time. The whole idea is for the individuals to get the required skills to progress into the working community or to try and get some sort of career prospect out of it.
So they do have to be 18 to 24?
Yes.
Okay, and it was universal credit that threw me there. I thought that meant...
Okay, no.
But you've got a group of, anyone that isn't employing 30 has to get into a group of others who combined will employ 30.
Yes.
And you've got a group to gather these businesses together. And
yeah, the group...
Sorry.
Yeah, the group is going all right. There's a number of businesses that have indicated interest. But obviously, if we don't reach the 30 mark, then obviously nobody would take that into consideration. So we need to be up to 30.
Yeah. So
if you're a local business owner at the moment and you're able to take on a young person, for a period of 6 months, don't worry about the payroll, because I know things are very, very tight at the moment financially. The government will fund that for you. So this will be a right opportunity to come on board, get yourself counted so that everybody can benefit from this.
Yeah, it sounds great. And how many more do you need, Edward? Do you have an idea of how many more?
We need like 20 more.
20 more. And you said something about after the first 6 months, then you can take another one on, is that?
Yeah, you can take another one on. It's for a period of 6 months only in the
But you would
first
want
instance.
them to stay?
Yes, if you want them to stay, then they can stay.
Yeah. Just, okay. So how long, I've got so many questions about this. How long, sorry, maybe I'm getting into too many details, but how long will they be running this for?
Well, they're going to be running it for a period of 6 months in the first instance. So, you will get, the financial aspect of it for 6 months. financial support aspect from the government for a period of 6 months.
Yeah, but like, how do you know how long it'll be open to application? Because like, if say it's like stuck at and still needing another 10, how much longer would we have to get more, to get the 30 to apply? Have they said anything about that? Maybe I'm
No, they
asking.
haven't. No, they haven't said anything about that. But
No.
the scheme, like everything else, is open for now. But the
Yeah,
most important thing is for if anyone wants to utilize it, now's the chance to do so.
now would be good to get.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think as well they're giving 1,500 quid for equipment and stuff as well.
yeah. There's other financial support being given, 1,500, £2,000, depending on the individuals, because depending on the individuals and organizations. But the key thing that a lot of businesses want to focus on is, how do I pay? If I take somebody on,
Yeah,
how am I going to pay them?
yeah,
The quick answer to that is the government has set aside funds to support you do that. So don't think about the payroll. Think about if you've got an opportunity for a young worker to work in your organization to
yeah.
get the required skills to progress.
It really does sound like a really good fund to
Mhm.
get help for companies and get some jobs for people.
True,
Yeah, I hope
true, true.
I hope we reach to the 30
Yeah,
or beyond.
because yeah, definitely, definitely.
Great. Well, that's another great initiative, and you've got a group on Facebook for that as well.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay. Well, we've, in typical fashion, as it's turning into, gone over time. There is just one other. Is this also in London? Sandra's asking.
Yes, it's all around the UK.
Is okay. Okay. Thanks, Sandra. I'm just remembering that we haven't done the prize.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So if anybody, oh, there's another question coming in. See, I'm just torn
Okay.
between whether I would ask. Will I ask you this one, or do you want to do it after? How
After the
come
question.
after?
After,
Do the
yeah,
question, the voucher
yeah.
question now.
Mm-hmm.
Right, folks. So the first person I see commenting with the words
Kickstart.
Kickstart will win. Oh, and I've just had a notification come up and block my comments. That's typical. Kickstart. Anyone, if it doesn't come up now, then it will still be valid. But the first person to write, oh, Emma Arms, congratulations.
Okay.
So Emma Arms, you win a £50 Amazon voucher from Edward Obi and HR Hub Plus.
Yes.
Well done, Emma. Well done. Okay, so that was great. Yeah, is there, before we wrap up, is there anything else you would like to say, Edward, about anything that we've discussed or anything?
I think, just to inspire, where, these are interesting and challenging times. And all I can say is that, I followed my dream in terms of establishing HR Hub Plus. Now, if you're out there listening and you've got a dream to establish something, then listen to this quote. The way to get started is quit talking and begin doing. One of my favorite quotes by Walt Disney. We all know the Walt Disney story. They said it couldn't happen, but here we are. Wow. He made it happen. Yeah. So if you've got a dream or something you want to do, just do it.
Great. That's a great note to end on, Edward. And yeah, make it happen.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Did you say to me before that you had some promotions or something on? I don't want to miss out on that if there is.
Yeah, yeah, we've got a HR starter pack promotion on because we realized, especially during the pandemic, that a lot of businesses didn't have policies, procedures in place, no contracts, nothing to regulate the employer-employee obligation. So we've put together a HR starter pack. It's a promotion, 18 documents. It includes a free intuitive cloud-based HR software package, free for a year, contracts of employment inclusive with an employee handbook, all for just £400 plus VAT.
Okay.
So if you're looking to get all these things in place, look no further. It won't break the bank. It will just support you, making sure you're putting the right policies and processes in place because you will need it, definitely.
And how much would that cost if it wasn't on offer?
Or if it wasn't on offer, it would have been £800.
Okay, so that's a good deal right there. And I
Yeah.
think it's still on the Grampian Business Finder website. Am I right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yes,
cool,
it is.
cool. So anyone who's looking for that, and remember to live your dreams. Thank you for that.
Exactly.
So yeah, we'll wrap it up now. Just a wee bit over time, just 6 minutes, you know. So
Yeah.
thank you everyone who's tuned in and for your fantastic questions. Do give Edward a shout if you would like to have a chat further about anything that he's been discussing this morning. Give me a shout if you'd like to go live and local and promote your business. Do share this video with anybody that you think might find it interesting or helpful. And if you've enjoyed this, as Edward said earlier, give our pages a like. Us businesses, we really do appreciate all the social media support just now, more than ever, really, in these challenging times. Edward, thank you. There's Gosia. You're so welcome, Gosia, saying thank you for the chat. Thank you for tuning in. Edward, thanks so much for joining me. It's been great. There's been so much covered and lots more that could be spoken about. So thank you so much. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. We will be back again soon with another live and local. And folks, keep safe and well and enjoy, if that's possible, these new interesting times. And thanks to everyone who's involved this morning. Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you
now.
very much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.